partners were Larkin, the National Museum of Ireland, Localise Youth and Community, Poetry Ireland and the Curriculum Development Unit. And we spent a year planning this project before it happened.
Maura is always generating projects. That's what Maura does. And since it's what we do, there was a very happy meeting of minds. And so she came with the idea of a 3-year project where students would be tracked and worked with over 3 years.
We looked at our common aims, and our common aims were that we would work with young people in terms of engaging them and exciting them about the past and using the creative arts to do that.
And what we did was we had the storyteller, Claire Murray-Murphy, go into the school in the first year of the project, and she worked literally on a storytelling project with the kids.
Claire Murray-Murphy went around herself to look at the Soldiers and Chiefs exhibition, this fantastic exhibition in Collins's Barracks.
This is an exhibition which traces military history in Ireland from the 1550s to the present day. So the students selected this exhibition and then got to know the different stories behind the objects within the exhibition. And then they went through a process of creating stories based on the objects, based on the characters within that exhibition and on the themes. And then they reimagined and retold these stories to older people from the Lourdes Daycare Centre, which were also involved in this first year of the project.
Alongside that, I teach a subject called Civic, Social, Political Education, which I absolutely love. And in CSPE, we had developed this partnership with a group called Localise Caring in the Community. They were teaching the kids how to be of service. They were empowering the children to choose a group in the community to be of service to. So alongside the storytelling workshops, we had this going on in the CSP classroom.
Localise is a 10-week programme. So it's called Community Service Learning. And it's linked in with the CSPE part of the students. So we connect with the students, we facilitate on the ground, we work with the teachers, we have the educational modules and packages.
We were just coming up with ideas, and we thought, where can we work in our community? Like, where could we go? Like, could we go in a homeless shelter or what? And then we decided that we'll work with the elderly people as well. So that's how it all began.
So they were able to go in, identify which story they were most attracted to. That was very important, which one really caught them. So that alone meant they were free to choose, which empowers them. They have to be interested in it so they can retell it well. But then once they knew they were going to be retelling it to the older members of their community, there was this sort of rise on them, like sense of responsibility and wanting to do it well. Not having to do it for teachers, not having to do it for the school or for some test or something, but actually, no, we're going to leave you to figure out this story and then you're going to give it to somebody else.
These 11 months that go over to the Crimean War and go up the hill of soldiers, and one of the nuns on the name of Sister Mary Elizabeth Butler got typhus off one of the soldiers, and they paid back several rangers attended a funeral.
Kevin O'Higgins is getting married, and Rory O'Connor was his best man. Less than a year later, Kevin O'Higgins gave the approval to order his friend to the firing squad.
Oh, yeah, they loved it. I mean, like, we were learning at the same time that that the old folk were learning, and we just got to express what we learned to them. And we used like drawing aids and like little books, and it was a great, and we got coaching from professional storytellers, so it really brought out the stories of the history.
Because all the people are awkward and they're contrary, and there are a lot of things that they shouldn't be, and then they're great fun. Like once they start telling stories and it's about them, they're great. But they're just with kids, they're not that interested until the kids are interested in them. So I think that actually helped the older people more than it helped the school kids.
The idea is, this is their museum, this is our museum. It is a civic amenity, it is a common good, and it's for them to be able to feel, I can go into this museum, I can interact with the artefacts and the pieces that are in here, and I know something about them now. I have a connection. They're not telling me about what was, they're telling me about how I can understand me now.
Speaking out in front of everyone, explaining a story, thinking up stuff in my mind about the story. It's like I could not talk very much. Say if there was an audience here, I'd be a bit sweaty, I'd stutter a lot. Now I learned from that they're just people like me, that I can talk normally to them. I don't have to worry too much.
Because we kind of have them with things they didn't understand, and they helped us. You know, they were to ask us, and we were to ask them certain questions. Like, we kind of helped one another, which is good that way. One can help the other.
The Curriculum Development Unit is part of the City of Dublin Education Training Board, and we're here to support teachers in what they're doing. And we try and identify new areas of curriculum that could be brought in. I'm talking about, you know, new areas in the arts, in the sciences, technology, right across the board to serve the needs then obviously of the learners and of the students that we have. So this project, in a sense, brought together a number of areas that I have a particular interest in as well, that in the arts and that of the whole idea of citizenship, and that idea of encouraging senses of belonging, connectedness, and democracy, if you wish.
It worked because I was very clear. CSP has a curriculum that needs to be followed. Children had to learn about the concept of human dignity and rights and responsibilities. Localise is very clear. They had a service. They wanted us to learn how to deliver well. The museum were very clear that they wanted to open their doors to new audiences, to new visitors, and they wanted to serve the community. Poetry Ireland was very clear: oral literacy, storytelling, presentation skills, and introducing the children to the art form of storytelling.
But as part of the first year as well, there was also a photographic exhibition that was hosted here within Collins's Barracks. And that grew out of the project the students were doing with Claire Murray-Murphy.
We had a man totally out of the blue, a man called Doug Baxter came to us. I had no clue who Doug Baxter was, but he said he had some photography experience and some skills and he wanted to give back. I said, that's fantastic. And we were going to use the talents of Doug Baxter, and he brought in a couple of professional photographers, all voluntarily giving their time, all going to mentor the students in taking the photos. And the students, this was their suggestion. It's grassroots, it comes from the young person. So they decided that's excellent.
We went down to the daycare centre and we set up the area into like a photo studio. There were like lights and reflectors and everything everywhere.
Each of us had an older person partnered up with us, and then the first time we ever did the pictures, we first had to get to know them first. So we had to tell them about our life, like about ourselves, and they told us about their life and what they'd accomplish over their lives.
I remember at first I could not talk to anyone, but then my teacher, Miss O'Higgins, paired me up with someone called Dennis, and once he started a conversation, then I responded, then we started talking, and then all of a sudden I felt like we were really good friends for a long time. It made me feel very comfortable around him, and then I thought, since he made me feel comfortable, he's also the same person as me. I shy at first to someone you don't know, and then once you start talking, and then it just finished off like that.
We don't understand them, and it gives us a chance to understand what they're thinking. Half the time they don't know what they're thinking, but then again, it gives them a chance to talk to us, and they're actually very good because they mind us quite a lot.
I've never seen the elderly rock up in as big a number and as well dressed as on that day of the photo shoot. People who we hadn't been working with, who over the years turned up. And we had asked the older people to bring a favourite object.
I never knew that I would be getting my photograph taken. We got it taken inside there, sitting on a chair. I had a little cottage I made in here and that, and I nearly died. I'm not fond of photographs really, and but I was delighted at when I seen it. I thought they were very good. We went up to see them in the museum. I thought they looked very good, but everybody did now. Some of them had died since, but the photographs were beautiful.
The photographs themselves were absolutely super, and the kids that took them were delighted with it more so than anything else. Like, they were really proud of them, you know, so it was lovely.
Just from like general conversation, we worked so closely with them that like things would just come up, like they'd notice something and then they'd go off into an anecdote and we'd be like, oh wow, that's really interesting.
They were so comfortable because the children asked them questions about their lives, about their families, about their memories of the area and about their favourite object before they took their photograph. Lorraine Comer, who just thinks outside the box all the time in the museum, she noticed that the children were hearing about the history, the lives of the older people. So she suggested when these photos were taken that they could be hung in the museum in an exhibition we called Local Heroes, who were the older people in our community. And this was not on the original plan, but it was Lorraine seizing an opportunity. They hung these beautiful photographs in the museum in Collins Barracks, and they were to have been hung for 3 months and they stayed for a year.
I just thought it was unusual, you know. I was saying, put them pictures in the museum. It was something that wouldn't normally happen, would it? I don't know. And then of course our photographs was up there for over a year, hanging up, you know. My photograph was in the museum.
What I love about working with teenagers and then connecting them with an older generation is that it's community building, isn't it? You're bringing people together who, unfortunately, because of the speed of life we live at and all of that, people become more separate.
Me personally, I don't have a lot of family in Ireland, but and so I don't converse with my grandparents a lot. But I was speaking with these old people or the elder people, and it was an experience. Like, you don't really go out to your neighborhood and chat with the old people that much, but it really gives you an experience. And since then we've worked constantly, and it's as natural as speaking to your peers, and I kind of learned that I could do that. Before it's a bit like the age gap, you're just kind of like, what do we talk about, like, but they're just people. They've had longer lives than us. They're like this, they're no different. And that's what I learned. I learned that I can communicate with people that I might initially not think I could.
Intergenerational projects are difficult. Anybody who's ever done them, I think, knows that. I think this intergenerational project actually worked. And I think when you see particularly the exchanges and the kind of collaborative storytelling events that were set up between the children and the teenagers and the older people, I think there was a richness there that nobody had expected to find. I'd say least of all the participants themselves.
I just couldn't believe like that at my age that we were doing something that involved kids, like, and I thought it was very rewarding, really.
It came out of myself because I was nervous talking to people and even singing or talking. But since I joined that, I kind of came out of it. Like, it doesn't bother me now to sing. Well, I don't sing, but we did it in Larkin College, didn't we? But we got there. I enjoyed it. Brought me out myself anyway.
We're getting old, we'll have to get old, but it just makes you feel very good about yourself, and you know, you see a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see if you weren't involved in it, in the project.
I feel good that I did it because it's good to do something for your community, and the fact that the school has that opportunity. I mean, some schools they don't, and if you don't go outside, then you know you won't gain anything as well in life. So it's good to see what's happening actually in the world instead of like focusing on your education only. You know, like.
Well, my overall feeling was it was an effective project. It was bigger than we planned initially. It transformed into this big photo shoot and the exhibition, and it kind of, the fact that it was blown not out of proportion but it blew up so big was kind of possibly the reason why I went on to do other things, because it's kind of the reason you can't predict what's going to happen. So even though you might have like humble ambitions, it can grow like exponentially really fast. So that project kind of set the foundation for me to kind of want to do more and more.
Yeah, it did make me change, and it made me see the world differently as well, that you have to give back to receive something.
But when I meet the kids, so to me, they're not even kids, they're really adults now, but do you know what I mean? Like, you sort of grow up with them then, and they accept you for what you are, rather than that narky old bugger is going to say something to me or whatever, just tell me to stop. You know, so I think it's lovely in that sense. But it is that link again. And I think that's important in the inner city, particularly in the inner city, because the kids don't have anything to do.
The two groups in our society that get least recognition are younger people and older people, in terms of what they may want, what they may like to be involved in, and how we can actually create things, create spaces, create experiences, make access and participation possible in ways that are relevant.
Learn not to be shy, learn to be creative, learn to speak out, learn to be learn to stand out from everyone else, learn to be yourself. It's not about just everyone focusing on you, it's where you as a class focus on everyone else. So it's teamwork and it's giving back to the community.